Welcome back again to Joe Stunner Boxing. Yeah, you may have read that Jeamie TKV may have suffered an injury, which is probably going to mean the postponement of his vacant British heavyweight title fight with Frazer Clarke. And this was due to take place on October the 25th. So I'm not that far away. I'm doing this video on the 15th, so it was 10 days. But more intriguingly, it was the first of the BOXXER cards to be shown on the BBC. Boxing returns to terrestrial television. The plan is that the main event and possibly the chief support gets shown live on the BBC, BBC Two, and the undercard gets shown on iPlayer. Okay, and it's one thing that really interested me, really did intrigue me, is that the October the 25th show was actually going to clash with Joseph Parker versus Fabio Wardley, the Queensberry card that's on DAZN. And I was really looking forward to seeing the viewing figures, because even though, of course, you know, Parker versus Wardley is a far bigger fight than Frazer Clarke versus Jeamie TKV, a British title fight. I mean, Parker, perhaps overdue. I certainly think he's overdue a world title shot. Him and Ajit Kabayel, you know, take your pick. They both are. And Wardley undefeated, coming off that fantastic come-from-behind win over Justice Hooney. That's a bigger fight, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it would get more viewing figures, because once you put something on terrestrial television, you know, free to air, shall we say, where you don't need a subscription, where you do actually, because you're supposed to have a TV license, but that's another story. But it's on terrestrial telly, which is watched by millions of people. It will be interesting to see the figures, you know, compare and contrast. Now, the postponement, well, the rescheduled, potential rescheduled date, this could be on November the 29th. And guess what? There's another DAZN show on that date, and it's Ben Whitaker's first fight with Matchroom. Now, Ben Whitaker has just left BOXXER. So again, we have a situation where you've got a DAZN card, and you've got, on the other hand, you've got terrestrial TV. You know, again, a lesser show in the sense that it's less flashy, less dramatic, but terrestrial telly, it's a big, you know, string to your bow if you've got it. And I did a video about this. I think people are underrating this deal that BOXXER have with the BBC, especially as BOXXER have also signed a contract with Turki Al Sheikh, who, as we know, has got lots and lots of money, a seemingly bottomless wallet. And if he's putting money up for big shows and they're going on BBC, even if it is BBC Two or not BBC One, it can grow. It can grow. You know, these are potentially very, very big figures indeed. Now, bearing in mind that Jeamie TKV is probably out of the running, who could replace him? The British Boxing Board of Control have not been forthcoming with a suggestion. Don't forget, this is for the vacant British title, so they've really got to nominate someone. But who could it be? I mean, you can rule out people. Let's go through the British heavyweights. You can rule out Dubois. Fabio Wardley is busy with Parker, and he's held the British title, probably wouldn't be interested in it. Lawrence Okoli, he's probably got bigger fish to fry, he probably thinks. Obviously forget about, well, Fury's retired. Joshua, no. Chisora, no. He's looking for a 50th, supposedly his last fight, although I doubt whether it would be. Richard Riakporhe? I don't think so. But, you know, you never know. A Talma, get rid of him. They know no way he'd fight. What about Joe Joyce and Frazer Clarke? I mean, Joe Joyce is the sort of, you know, runt of the litter as far as Queensberry are concerned. I think he's still contracted to him. I don't know what the fuck to do with him. You know, he keeps losing, but he was once very, very highly ranked. I think there are two names that I would throw into the pot. One is Hughie Fury, who has held the British title before when he beat Sam Sexton. But that British title, if he was to beat, say, Frazer Clarke, that British title would be a nice little springboard back into the public eye to be a two-time British champ. Yeah, that's feasible. Of course, he's had his injuries, hasn't he? Always had his injuries. He's 31 now, Hughie Fury. Been fighting for seemingly forever, but hasn't really done anything other than that British title. He didn't make any defences of it. Has lost 3 times at world level, including a WBO title fight against Parker. So he's been found wanting at that level. The other one that really is a dark horse is Solomon Dakers. I think that would be a very intriguing fight. Solomon Dakers versus Frazer Clarke, because Dakers had a fantastic comeback win against I can never remember this guy's name, Eastern European fighter who's also signed to Frank Moran's Queensbury. Completely expected to smash through Dakers, and Dakers outpointed him, and quite convincingly outpointed him. Very, very good performance by Dakers, coming off the back of a 1-round blowout against David Adelaide. Now Adelaide himself, he then ended up being beaten by Filip Hrgović. Would he be ready for a British title fight? I mean, he held the British title, but he beat Jeamie TKV earlier this year, controversially so. But they were originally going to have a rematch, and then the Hrgović offer came in for Adelaide, so he went for that instead, gave up the British title. Could he fight Frazer for a vacant title? I don't know. I mean, I think the one that intrigues me is Solomon Dakers against Frazer Clarke. So I think that's a very winnable fight for Dakers. I think he got caught early, bombed out by Adelaide, but there's no shame in that. But again, who do you pick? Who do you pick? And I think you've got to pick the guy that's going to make a great fight, because don't forget, this is the debut of BOXXER on BBC, and they want it to be memorable. So it wouldn't surprise me if they chose the guy the board have to approve it, of course, but it wouldn't surprise me if BOXXER put together, try to get the styles to mesh so that it's going to be a very memorable fight, and therefore they're kicking off their deal with BBC with something that they can crow about, But I don't know. Let me know what you think. You tell me what your opinions are. And I don't know, maybe they'll reschedule it with Jeamie versus Frazer on the 29th of November anyway. It depends how bad Jeamie's injury is. But let me know what you think. Comments below as always, and please subscribe to the channel if you know, and hit the like button if you like the video. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Spread the word about Joe Stunner Boxing. Peace. I'll catch you later. Bye for now.